Chapter 20. The cumulative effect of tiny drips of fluid being released from a pouch suspended high overhead and sent into their circuitous journey down a considerable length of plastic tubing until they eventually found their way into Jean Noel's arm brought a relatively peaceful sleep for the erstwhile agitated patient. Jean Noel managed to sleep well past noon the following day, albeit with intermittent mumblings, having always to do with the mysterious death of the king of the cats, and his full consciousness seemed to be returning, however. So did register a thoroughly disconcerting sense of utter confusion commingling with one of profound clarity. Having no idea where he was, he could only note that while some of the things in his environment seemed exaggeratedly strange, others registered as being indescribably comfortable and familiar. Among the former was a demoralizing realization that his wrists were bound with straps of cotton, bandaging, and tied to the guardrails of his bed. In addition, his eye caught sight of an abundant spray of exotic orchids at his bedside, which he had no recollection of having ever seen before. These peculiarities notwithstanding, he was immensely consoled by the intoxicating whiff he had caught in the air of a scent of redolent childhood memories. It was unmistakably a floral bouquet of rosewater that Zouzou liked to splash so liberally on her wrists, behind her ears, and even on the backs of her knees. As he inhaled the fragrance deeply, Jean Noel became dimly aware of a vague presence sitting in attendance at his bedside, but just barely within the range of his perceptual vision. Turning as best he could to study the apparition more closely, it indeed appeared to be the engrossed in a novel by, of all people, Zouzou's favorite author, Agatha Christie, which prompted Jean Noel to say, the first lucid thing he had uttered in the past 24 hours, "I hope Hercule Poirot is solving the murder to your satisfaction, madam." Removing her pince-nez from the bridge of her nose, in more than happy surprise, the figure declared, "He is not. It is Tommy and Tuppence who are nevertheless doing a more than satisfactory job." When I found out, Jean Noel elucidated as beads of prescription. "Stand corrected," Jean Noel replied, taking his error in good stride. He went on to remark conspiratorially, "You know, you look like my Zouzou." "But I am your Zouzou, mon petit," she cried out in sheer joy at having been recognized at last by the heretofore sadly delusional Jean Noel. "You can't be," he informed her flatly. "My Zouzou lives in France." "C'est vrai, mon cher, but I have come for Nathalie's funeral, only to find you in the hospital instead. Pourquoi, Jean Noel? Pourquoi?" "You must tell Zouzou everything." This, Jean Noel determined to be a rather presumptuous request, coming as it had from a total stranger, albeit one who bore a more than passing resemblance to Zouzou. The information that she had requested, after all, was of a highly sensitive nature, and therefore required Jean Noel to contemplate his next move. Finding himself strangely mollified by the sight of the Agatha Christie novel still sitting on the woman's lap, and the scent of rosewater as it permeated the room, Jean Noel decided to tell the woman who professed to be Zouzou about the grand discovery he had made in Big Sur regarding his father's true identity. But in doing so, he had managed to deliberately leave out all the pertinent details. "I found out the truth," he sufficed to say. "I now know who my father was." "But how can you be sure?" Zouzou asked, shifting nervously in her seat and letting the Agatha Christie fall to the floor without even offering to help pick it up from a venerated author. "Because it all made so much sense when I found out," Jean Noel elucidated as beads of perspiration began to collect on his brow. "It explained everything that has baffled me my entire life as to why neither Zouzou nor Nathalie would ever tell me the truth." "And why was that?" Zouzou asked, with eyes widened, as if feigning innocence as best she could, now shivering visibly under the thin hospital blanket, Jean Noel whispered clandestinely, "Because they are ashamed." "Ashamed?" Zouzou, aghast, whispered back, buzzing for the nurse's station in light of Jean Noel's obviously deteriorating condition. "Of your father?" "No," he managed to answer, just before losing consciousness once again. "Of themselves." For in truth, Jean Noel had made one more great discovery since his return from Big Sur, and it had led him to believe that Zouzou was a consummate liar, and that Natalie, for that matter, had been her willing accomplice.